stabbing and stabbing and stabbing her. I chopped her head off with a knife.
Just about to settle down for the evening, a young man hears a noise outside. It sounded like screaming. His first thought is just to leave it. It's probably just the neighbourhood kids. But something kept him up. It sounded far worse than that. What if somebody needs my help? I should just go and check. As he made his way down the stairs, he heard a knock on his door. He ran over the door and opened it. And there stood his neighbour, in what looked like a blue flowery dress. But she was covered head to toe in blood. And there was something in her hand. As he looked further, he stepped back in shock. She was holding her head. Hi, my name's Sara Jade and welcome to my channel, where we talk about true crime, unsolved cases and more. Now let's get into this week's case. Vince and Rita Camilleri were from Maltese in Australia, and after getting married they had two daughters, Kirsty and Jessica. While Kirsty was just a normal child, the same couldn't be said for Jessica. From an early age, they noticed something was different about Jessica. While all the other kids were running around causing mischief, Jessica was delayed in all her milestones, such as walking, talking and coordination. Things didn't improve when she went to school. She was also delayed in English, maths, reading and writing. As she grew older, her behaviour got worse. She had trouble making friends, as she couldn't really understand or process their feelings or thoughts. Her family became concerned, and her parents decided to go and get her help. So after taking Jessica to the doctors to get tested, they discovered that she has a very low IQ. Her IQ was around 55 to 60. This put Jessica in the bottom 1% of society, as a normal IQ is usually around 90 to 110. Jessica was finally diagnosed with borderline autism and an intellectual disability. Although Jessica was diagnosed with learning disabilities, she could still articulate and communicate with other people, so she continued to go to school. However, due to her differences, she was teased, taunted and harassed for being different at school. She became really angry and would just explode at anyone, and she would have this huge outburst of anger. At school, she would attack other students, and although usually it was targeted around women, on one occasion she had bit a young man's arm and wouldn't let go. Jessica was finally suspended from school, and her parents sought treatment for her violent behaviour, and she was finally diagnosed with IED. IED is an intermittent explosive disorder, which is related to the amount of serotonin in the brain, the mood hormone, which leads to outbursts of anger. After Jessica was suspended from school, she was put into a supportive environment facility, which would help her with her condition. But she was soon asked to go as her behaviour just got worse and her outbursts continued. Jessica's outbursts didn't occur all the time, and they seemed to occur during times of stresses or perceived provocation, during times of changes in her life. With this, her mum believed if she came home, she could get her into a good routine, which would relax her and it could help control her behaviour. So in 2013, she moved back home and spent most of her time indoors. Jessica had difficulties with simple tasks such as going shopping, getting a job, looking after herself and home care. So her mum done most of this for her, and she ended up on disability benefits. Jessica's behaviour didn't help the family relationships. Her sister Kirsty believed she played up her learning difficulties and used it as an excuse. She watched as she sat on the sofa barking orders at her mum and acting out whenever she didn't get her own way. So Kirsty kept her distance. Her sister described how on one occasion her mum had spent over $2,500 on getting a medium to help to get the demons out of her daughter, but nothing worked. Jessica's dad Vince, although he was the main disciplinarian and could control Jessica's behaviour, grew tired of his daughter's behaviour and the way that she treated her mother. He also resented his wife for the way she played up to her behaviour, and soon this tore them apart and he moved out the family home. Her friends and family described Jessica as having a sense of entitlement and an unreasonable expectation of favourable treatment. She believed she was unique because of her disabilities, and she would use this against people. After her dad moved out, Jessica's behaviour just got worse. She would spend hours in her room fascinating about horror movies and would spend hours watching them over and over again. On the few occasions she did go out, she seemed to have developed a hatred towards women and would attack women in the street and at the shopping centres. She was even banned from her doctors, as on one occasion she became paranoid about another patient in the waiting room and became aggressive and had to be restrained. Jessica had an obsession with numbers and colours, and she would associate a number with a colour, such as yellow would be 2. So with all the free time that she had, she would use these numbers to make up phone numbers and call random people all day long. Although Jessica didn't have time for women, she had an obsession with men, and she would call random numbers all day, up to 100 times a day, just to see if a man would answer. On one occasion in 2018, she got hold of the numbers of a Victorian meat company in Dallasfield and developed a crush on the boss, Matthew Layfield. She would call him all hours of the day, until finally he had to ring her mum to get her to stop it. But Jessica didn't take this too lightly. She went on Facebook and found his sister-in-law and wife and sent them messages how she was going to cut off their head and throw the head down the toilet. Eventually, in 2018, Jessica was admitted to Neophene Psychiatric Hospital, where she was given 9 days of treatment and was put on lithium and antipsychotic drugs to suppress her anger issues, and her parents started to see an improvement in her behaviour. She also started to receive treatment from therapy and multiple psychiatrists. However, by the end of the year, she was off her treatment as she was trying to find natural alternatives. On the 20th of July 2019, Jessica was 25 years old and still living at home. On that day, she was mad at her mum as she believed she was preoccupied with another family member and wasn't paying her enough attention. Her anger only got worse when she believed her mum embarrassed her in front of a man while they're in the parking lot and he walked past them. They decided to go and spend the day with her sister, but her behaviour just got worse, and her mum spent the whole time trying to calm her down. After finally calming her down, Rita asked if she could take her grandson back to theirs. They could have dinner and spend the evening together. This would be a rare treat for them, as her daughter Kirsty wouldn't usually let him stay over, as she didn't trust Jessica's behaviour. When they returned home that evening, Jessica's behaviour just got worse, and at one point she asked her mum to call the doctor as she needed help. The doctor came over, but she didn't stay long, as Jessica chased her out of the house to her car. Her behaviour continued like this, going up and down all evening. That evening, after finishing their dinner of Red Rooster and putting her grandson to bed, Rita came back into the kitchen to find Jessica on the phone. She was phoning Roosters again to get another order. She'd phoned them a couple of times in just a few minutes. Her mum phoned them up and cancelled the order and said, "We've had enough, you don't need any more." They started arguing and her mum Rita turned around and said, "That's it, I've had enough, I'm going to ring 000, get an ambulance and put you back into a mental health facility so you can get some help." And that's when Jessica saw red. Jessica ran towards her mum, grabbed her by the hair and dragged her back into the kitchen. She opened the door and pulled out a knife and started stabbing her mum over and over again. Jessica described how she stabbed and stabbed until her mum's head came off. She stabbed her over and over again in her face and her neck. She then ripped off her nose, cut out her tongue and pulled out her eyes. Only then did she calm down. After killing her mum, she picked up the phone and rang 000.
Hello, this is Alison from Police Emergency. We just received a call from this number.
Yes, I need you to get the ambulance and the police out here immediately.
To which address?
Please come. I need you. This is our immediate life or death situation.
Which suburb or town is that in?
St. Clair.
Okay, so St. Clair, and what's the nearest crossroad, please?
What's the nearest one? Listen, can you talk to the neighbour? I'm flustered. Can you just talk to him? Could you, because my hand's bleeding, yes. Thank you. Can you talk to him? Oh, my finger's broken. I can't.
It's all right.
Okay, talk to him.
Hello?
Hi.
Yeah.
What's happened?
I don't know. We was just at home, but she just come in screaming for help. And when suddenly I opened the door, she said, "Just help me and call the police or ambulance." And she said to me, she had a fight with her mom, I think.
Okay.
My mum tried to stab me and I killed her, I think.
So did she just say her mum tried to stab her?
I don't know because of the...
Yes,
Yeah.
with a knife. And in self-defense, I think I killed her. Yeah. Can you tell him to come immediately?
Yeah, can you please just come immediately, please?
Okay, so she believes that she may have killed her mother?
Yes.
Yeah, she said like this, yeah.
Yes.
And where, is this at, is that where you are at the moment?
Sorry, who, me?
Yeah, so where are you at the moment?
I'm in
Oh, okay, but she's,
yeah.
is she with you at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah, she's in the front yard of my house.
Okay, all right. So how old's her mother?
How old is your mother?
My mum's dead, I think.
But how old is she?
57.
57. So is she not conscious?
Nah.
I stabbed her because she tried to kill me.
Okay, then you didn't check if she was breathing?
No, we can't
Could you
go
come to
there.
the house? There's a kid in there. Could you come with me, please?
No, I can't go. Sorry about that. Nah.
Okay. There's a kid, a 4-year-old kid going in the house.
And is her mother severely bleeding?
No, because we didn't go to her house because I'm outside of my house because I can't go there.
Okay.
Yeah. Please.
Okay, so do you know what the lady's name is?
And my fingers are broken. My
Yeah.
fingers are broken.
Her mother was just his name. Her name.
Jessica Camilleri.
Is that your name? Is that the lady's name who called?
Yes, yes. Can I talk to her? Lady, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Your name's Jessica?
My fingers are broken.
Okay.
Mum has had enough of me because I admit I've been a challenge and this ongoing thing's been going for months anyway. She had enough of me. She grabbed me by the hair and dragged me from my room all the way to the kitchen, and she got a knife and she tried to stab me with it, and I grabbed the knife off her because I thought she was going to stab me, so I stabbed her back. And I was so heated up with anger, I just kept stabbing and stabbing and stabbing her, and I took off her head. Her head is, I ran to my neighbour, not this neighbour, my other neighbour before this one, who's on the other side. He was at work. I told him to call the ambulance and the police immediately. He's going to do so, but no one's at home because everyone in the family is at work now. Okay. So he wasn't much help. He said, all I can do is I'll call the police and the ambulance to my address, and I thought it was going to take a bit of time, so I ran to my other neighbour on the other side. Okay. And I had my mum's head in my hand. I know this sounds insane, but I was taking it for evidence to show the neighbour. In the struggle, in the frustration, I didn't know what I was doing. I cut her head off. I chopped her head off with a knife.
Okay, what type of knife was it?
There was all sorts of knives. There was about 7 knives I was stabbing her with. A few of the knives broke. When that knife broke, I got another one and did the same.
Where's the knives now?
They're all in the kitchen. There's blood everywhere. There's blood everywhere. Yeah.
And you're outside the house?
Yes. The ambulance and the police have rocked up. Do you want to stay on the phone?
No, that's okay. What's your phone number, Jessica?
Look, you're better off. This is my mum's phone number, but my mum's not here anymore, okay? She's gone.
Okay, what's your date of birth?
October 12, 1993. Over here.
All right, I'll let you go speak to the police.
Yeah, hang up, okay?
Okay, bye.
I can't, I'm full of blood.
When the police arrived around 11:43 p.m. that night, they found Jessica standing in the front garden, covered in blood. As they walked towards her, they turned on their body cam, and she admitted what she did. She pointed over to her mum's head and said her head's over there. Luckily, during the incident, Rita's grandson ran to the back room and stayed there and was unharmed. He was taken to the hospital, checked over, but was soon released back to his family. When the police entered the house, they checked the living room and the kitchen, and they found blood-soaked hair, human tissue, pools of vomit, and blood-soaked footprints everywhere around the house. They also found the body of 57-year-old Rita in the kitchen. She'd been stabbed over 100 times. Multiple blades were found around her, and some of them had broken in the struggle. Jessica was arrested in the front garden, and they wrapped her hands in bags to preserve the evidence. She first described how she acted in self-defence, as her mum had grabbed her hair and tried to stab her, and she took the knife off her and started stabbing her and couldn't stop. She then went on to tell them that she'd never hurt her mum before or laid a finger on her at all. but she just wanted to give her a taste of her own medicine and didn't mean to kill her. She became scared when her mum mentioned putting her back in the psychiatric ward, and she would do anything to make sure that didn't happen. She described how she grabs a knife from the kitchen floor and just wanted to scare her mum at first, but then they started to struggle and she had these sick thoughts and she just kept stabbing her and couldn't stop herself. She thought of the idea of the decapitation from a movie she had seen before. Jessica was assessed after the incident and they found that she didn't have schizophrenia and she hadn't suffered any hallucinations. They did take into account her mental health issues though, and she pleaded not guilty by way of substantial impairment due to her mental health issues. After a week-long trial and 2 days of deliberation, the jury came back and found her guilty of manslaughter. Christy, her sister, told the court about the pain, anxiety, depression and anger she felt after her mum was taken by the selfish hands of her own sister. She said she'd never forgive Jessica and called her selfish, and said she was given all the help that she could from her family, but she decided not to take it. Rita's sister, Mary Hill, said the love that she showed her daughter was remarkable, but it blinded her to the dangers. She described how she'd spoken to Rita on many occasions, saying that Jessica would hurt someone one day, but Rita was blinded to it. Just 2 weeks before the incident, and their family friend Jade had told Rita that Jessica was going to hurt somebody, but she just turned around and said, "My daughter wouldn't hurt a fly." Her family and friends also described how Rita was let down by the mental health facilities. They didn't give her the proper support to deal with Jessica's behaviour. Christy described how her mum had a heart of gold and would always put everyone first. Not a day goes by that I don't think of her infectious smile or her cheeky grin, or wish that her name would come up on my phone again. Jessica finally admitted that her mum didn't attack her that night. She just saw red after her mum had told her that she was taking her back to the mental health facility, and she was going to do anything to make sure that didn't happen. Jessica was finally sentenced to 21 years and 7 months in prison, with a parole period of 16 years and 2 months. Not only did she lose her mum, she lost someone who was her carer and her only friend, and she doesn't receive hardly any support from her family inside. Jessica is now based at Silverstone Women's Prison and describes it as a living hell. During her first year of incarceration, she was charged with 2 counts of assault and 2 counts of assault with actually bodily harm. In November 2020, she found herself in court again after grabbing another inmate's hair and yanking it back, just because she said she had too many prison meals. As of October 2021, she's also been charged with assaulting 2 police officers, one in August 2021 and one in October. Jessica is also now appealing her sentence. Thank you for watching, it means so much. And if you like this one, be sure to check out one of our other videos here. Thank you for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.
You call me a saint, but you know I'm a stranger, a willing